The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in the NBA.
The Timberwolves won their fourth straight game, beating the Cavs. How Jaden McDaniels led the Timberwolves to the win was clutch down the stretch.
You are Locked On Timberwolves, your daily Minnesota Timberwolves podcast.
The Timberwolves hung on to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers on Thursday night. This is the post-game podcast. We're going to talk about how the Wolves did it. We're going to focus quite a bit on Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels on today's podcast. We're also going to start with how the Timberwolves overcame some early challenges, including the physicality that led to a double foul and double technicals on DeAndre Hunter and Rudy Gobert, and how Minnesota responded favorably early in this game, but it was Jaden and Julius throughout that helped lift the Timberwolves, and ultimately late, it was Jaden McDaniels down the stretch. We'll break down all the kind of ins and outs of this one. It was a really fun game, kind of a weird game of runs, even more so than a typical NBA game, it seemed like. And some interesting things. The starters were great. The bench, not so much. A lot to get into really on this one. But the moral of the story is the Wolves won their fourth straight game. They beat another good team. And they're sitting now in fourth place in the Western Conference. Believe it or not, after all the hand-wringing, all the consternation over the first 40+% of the schedule, look up and the Timberwolves are in, if the season ended today, which it doesn't, obviously, they would have home court in the first round of the playoffs. All right. First off the top, a big thank you for making Locked On Wolves your first listen every single day. Of course, this show is free and available everywhere. That includes YouTube, as well as all of your favorite audio platforms. Wherever you like to listen to podcasts, you can find Locked On Wolves. All right. So coming into the game, the Timberwolves, of course, won 3 straight, coming off of, a nice weekend with a win over Miami on Saturday, the back-to-back travel and win over Washington on Sunday. Wizards team, pre-Trae Young trade, who had just won 4 out of 5 games. Even though they're bad, they were playing better, and then they beat Miami again on Tuesday. Now they play Cleveland Thursday, a good Cleveland team, not as good as people thought they'd be, not as good as last year's Cavaliers team. And they were up by 20 in the third quarter of this game, ended up having to hang on. It got down to a 4-point game late in the fourth quarter, but the Timberwolves pushed back, and we'll get into some of the Jaden stuff here in just a second. But I thought the first big thing we got to hit before we get into Jaden McDaniels is how the Timberwolves overcame some of the early adversity in this game. Minnesota jumped out to a nice lead very early, forcing a Cavaliers timeout early in the first quarter. They were up 17-8. Let's see, what was it when they called timeout? Was it 17-8 when Kenny Atkinson called the timeout? I can't find where the actual timeout happened, but it was right around that. They were up double digits in the first quarter. Cavaliers called to, there it is, 17-5. They're up 17-5. Up 12 very early in the game. Shortly thereafter, Cavaliers call timeout. There's a bit more of a back and forth, and then there's a DeAndre Hunter, Rudy Gobert dust up that leads to a double foul being called against Gobert and DeAndre Hunter, and then double technicals against Hunter and Gobert. Of course, Hunter shoves Gobert first. Would have only been a technical on Hunter, but Gobert did the thing where he puts his arms in the air like, I'm not doing anything, but then he walked directly into the bubble of DeAndre Hunter, who then shoved him again. It seemed a little bit weird that on a review like that, the Timberwolves end up losing, right? Because Gobert, that was his second personal foul, and he got shoved twice. Gobert actually didn't shove at all. Still a double technical. I get it. It was frustrating. It's weird that they called the double foul. Like, just call the technicals, or maybe it's a foul on Hunter and then double techs. Like, as it was, the Wolves lost the trade-off, and the Cavs saw a boost from that. And Gobert was already frustrated because of how physical they were being with him on short rolls. Anytime he, tried to cut or roll down the lane, really, they would shove him. They'd push him. There had been Gobert tried to rim run and get a mismatch against Donovan Mitchell. The Wolves actually saw it and tried to throw him the ball. Before Gobert ever got the ball, Mitchell was two-hand shoving, putting his shoulder into him like he was a tackling dummy in football and trying to uproot Gobert. And then when he had the ball, he was two-hand shoving him in the back, which is a foul no matter how big or small you are, no matter what age you're playing basketball. You can't two-hand shove someone back to the basket or not. And so Gobert was frustrated at that point and allowed himself to get sucked in a little bit. Credit the Cavaliers for sticking with the plan of being physical with Gobert no matter what. and ultimately frustrating Gobert into a second personal foul. Ant picked up a couple of reasonably early fouls. Not quite the same foul trouble he was in the other night, but there was some early, like, the refs let it happen, and then all of a sudden they were calling stuff, and the Cavs saw this boost, and it went from a Wolves blowout lead to the Cavs being up by, I think, as many as 7 in the second quarter of this game. They led by as many as 9 in the second quarter. And eventually by halftime, it was a 4-point Cavs lead. But that early tone that the Cavs set, they came out ahead in that Gobert dust up, if you want to call it that, with DeAndre Hunter. And they used that to energize their team. And the Timberwolves came out of the gate playing hard and hustling and going for loose balls and winning all the 50-50 balls. There were a couple of Julius Randle rebounds that were just ridiculous, that he just chased the ball down. And I don't think I've seen Randle move that quickly for a loose ball his entire time in Minnesota. Like, it was like he was shot out of a cannon multiple times in the first half of the first quarter. And then all that, like, I guess, passion that they were playing with early in this game kind of evaporated after that confrontation's a strong word, but after the disagreement that Hunter and Gobert had. And then all of a sudden it was the Cavs taking control of the first half. But I want to give credit to the Wolves for stabilizing before halftime. There were some good Anthony Edwards minutes. He hit a couple of tough shots. He was hot from outside the arc early in this game. Got into the second quarter. The Wolves bench actually did not play very well, and that's where the lead expanded to 9. Was some rough minutes from Bones Highland and Naz Reid. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But then Jaden was really good in the second quarter. Dante DiVincenzo was really good in the second quarter. There's really a lot of Jaden McDaniels and Dante DiVincenzo that allowed Minnesota to kind of hang. And then Gobert came back in late in the second quarter, hit a couple of shots in the final minute plus of the game, of the first half. And this is a 4-point game at halftime. So that's a good example of Minnesota taking the figurative punch from Cleveland, weathering the storm, not getting too emotional themselves over what they perceived to be an unfair result of that play. And then also there was some physicality on the other end. The light shove that Ant gave Jared Allen when he went flying practically into the camera guys under the basket, which was, a tenth of the contact that Mitchell was giving Gobert on the other end. And that this, by the way, this is the problem with Ant too, right? Ant and Gobert, they play. They don't flop. I know Gobert does occasionally, but Ant never does. And for the most part, like, Gobert was trying to play tough in the post and not flop, but he was penalized for it. And the Wolves run into that quite a bit. So credit to Minnesota for sticking with, overall sticking with their game plan, but not allowing themselves to become too emotional over the perceived lack of justice of these calls. And, the Gobert Hunter double foul, double technical, and things just didn't entirely snowball. They started to. There were a couple of bad possessions, a couple of bad Naz turnovers consecutively, a couple of bad Bones Highland shot attempts, like some dicey moments early to mid-second quarter, but they righted the ship with McDaniels and DiVincenzo, and then the later part of the second quarter, some good Gobert minutes once again. And that leads me to the Jaden McDaniels conversation. Jaden was phenomenal in this game. And the second quarter was the first piece of the really important minutes he played. The most important thing Jaden McDaniels did was at the end of the game. This thing was a 20-point Minnesota lead in the third quarter. And we'll talk about how they built it here in a minute. But the Jaden McDaniels close to the game, in addition to what he did in the second quarter, which was huge to keep the thing from snowballing beyond a 9-point deficit, was the final couple minutes of the game. McDaniels was phenomenal.
The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Before every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback, play, or coaching. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. Visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Pacers win for real. The losing streak is over. They beat the Hornets in a dramatic game.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast.
The Pacers are no longer month-long 13 straight losers. They have beaten the Charlotte Hornets. They are in the win column for the 7th time this year. And Rick Carlisle officially is the 11th coach in NBA history with 4-digit 1,000 wins, an unfathomably huge number of games that he has won, not coached, won. Well-deserved. We'll spend the whole second segment talking about him. We'll spend the third segment talking about all the little notes and key things that got the Pacers this win. But what a dramatic game for the Pacers to get over the line. I honestly thought, I will admit, that I thought this was about to be a game where I talked about the Pacers for the 4th time in 5 games blowing a fourth quarter lead. They were winning in the fourth quarter multiple times in this game, and there was a big turning point with about 2 minutes to go where the shot clock's at 0.3 and Aaron Nesmith uncorks a 3, but they didn't have time for that. It was off an inbounds, and they counted it at first, but it didn't count as they figured out on review. And on the other end, right after they were reviewing to take it away, Nesmith fouls Con Knippel on a corner 3, and Con Knippel makes all 3 free throws. To be clear, it was all officiated correctly, but it was a 6-point momentum swing or a 6-point emotional swing with like 2 minutes, to go in the game. That put the Pacers down 2, and TJ McConnell missed on the next possession. I thought, oh boy, this might be over. They might have lost another lead. It might be over. But in this game, the Pacers veterans were very composed in a way that was extra noteworthy. I even had it in the third quarter. This was a wildly fast game with a little bit of chippiness, like Miles Bridges and Pascal Siakam here and there, and Quentin Jackson with both LaMelo Ball and Colin Sexton. Nothing that escalated into an altercation, but just you could tell what was going on. And there was little stuff going on, but they're focused right through it. Get to the next play. And the only bad thing happening from a focus perspective was turnovers, but they didn't really have any stupid plays besides one that we'll get to later. And they always responded out of their choppiest moments, a big Quentin Jackson block on LaMelo Ball, Johnny Furphy double offensive rebound, 50-50 balls. They were getting all of them. Their rebounding was great. I just felt like the Pacers were composed a lot in this game. And so even down 2 with 1.5 minutes to go, and then down 3 because Moussa Diabate, as he did for much of the game, got an offensive rebound and hit a free throw. You still felt like they had a chance. And Jay Huff won a big jump ball. The Pacers got a big stop as LaMelo went for an insanely timed play to go for a lob with about 1 minute to go. And the Pacers get a stop. And TJ McConnell, awesome all night, was definitely running out of gas late. They needed him a ton without injured Nembhard in this game. Got to a spot, and after missing a few in a row, flipped in his classic in the lane 10-footer. That's what TJ McConnell can do. Good defense from the Pacers on the next trip. A full 24 seconds of defense, forcing a tough miss from Con Knippel. Credit to Ben Shepherd for getting the board. Pacers get out and move. Miles Bridges tumbles right before trying to avoid a screen, and Siakam gets to the cup for a layup. 2, really 3 if you count the defense. Great execution plays in a row. And then the Hornets, young team, not composed. Pacers, veteran team, composed. The Hornets are down 1. There is 11 seconds, 12 seconds left in the game. They need to run a play. The young players want to get it in and go. Charles Lee wants to call timeout. So Charles Lee is yelling timeout, timeout. The young players inbound the ball immediately. TJ McConnell was laser focused and stole the inbounds pass. And that basically put the game away. Not really. But it got a free throw for Ben Shepherd. And then the Pacers do a great job cutting off all LaMelo Ball angles after he hit 2 other buzzer beaters in other quarters of this game. Colin Sexton misses a 2 that would have only tied it with a second to go. Johnny Furphy rebound. After several games of poor fourth quarter execution and not making some of the shots that they can make late in games, they did an awesome job, led by the veterans, in the last 2 minutes of this game. And that doesn't even account for some other big plays. The big rebound they got, for example, before Pascal Siakam put the game away with 23 seconds to go. This did not go their way much of the game at all, but Jay Huff finally cleared out Moussa Diabate for a big rebound that Ben Shepherd ultimately got. Ben Shepherd, by the way, himself, a double offensive rebound during the fourth quarter that got a bucket for Siakam. That was a huge play. Ben Shepherd was just everywhere, I thought, in this fourth quarter, making big plays that helped the Pacers get a win. He was guarding LaMelo Ball better than anybody had in this game. He deserves a ton of credit for that. That happened pretty late in the game as well. And so all these guys with experience, right? Of course, the veterans, the 30-plus guys in McConnell and Siakam, but also the guys who have done it down the stretch of playoff games before. Ben Shepherd making big plays late in the game. Aaron Nesmith making big plays late in the game. And they got it done. They got it done in a way that they hadn't in a while. And those veterans were, of course, key late. And that was a theme of the entire game for the Pacers. For example, just the stat sheet says Pascal Siakam was terrific, but he did a lot of stuff in this game that was just fun, Siakam classic. This team cannot guard me stuff. The second the Hornets would say, yeah, we'll switch Knipple onto Pascal Siakam, it's like something like shifts in his eyes, and he's like, oh, cool, a rookie's guarding me, and he just goes and scores or goes and takes a shot he's totally comfortable with. 30 points, obviously splendid, the 30th point being the shot that put the Pacers ahead for the final time of the game. For Siakam, 3 assists, and critically, in a game where they just got out-rebounded 30-9, and Rick Carlisle post-game after Pacers-Cavs, 30-9 in the second half, against the Cavs, you knew rebounding would be a focus for this team. They were all over the glass tonight, and Siakam was by far the leader of it. 14 rebounds. He had 10 defensive rebounds in this game. The final count in the rebounds, 41 for the Pacers, 35 for the Hornets. And in a game where the Pacers were turning it over way too much, way out of their usual comfort zone level, whatever you want to say, with turnovers, you got to make up those possessions somehow. The rebounding battle was the way to do it. Siakam was just like, I mean, he always is in I'm not going to lose this game mode, but he had like an extra level. I felt like he was aggressive in the last game, but he was feasting early, right? He had 6 of the Pacers' first 11 points. Like it just felt like the Hornets were willing to give up mid-range shots, which, and some teams are fine with that. That's fine if you want to let a guy shoot them, but maybe don't let Pascal Siakam shoot them. And maybe really don't let TJ McConnell shoot him when he's just rolling like he was tonight. TJ McConnell had to play a lot. Andrew Nembhard was hurt and did not play. Quentin Jackson started and was fine. We'll talk about him later. I actually thought he did. The stat line is not glorious, but he played fine. They need TJ McConnell to play a lot, right? Those two basically played every minute at point guard. Cam Jones played 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And McConnell, especially in the third quarter when he had 11 points in just that quarter, was just terrific. 17 shot attempts is the sign of what McConnell was looking for in this game, and he still had 8 assists. But he was trying to get to his spots for baskets in this game. And LaMelo Ball, for all the butt-kicking he did, that really kept the Pacers back for a lot of this game. If they could have slowed down LaMelo, they would have won by 1 billion. LaMelo could not guard TJ McConnell and provided very little resistance, and nobody could keep TJ McConnell out of the paint. If you take away his 1 for 3 from deep, he was 9 for 14 on twos, 4 rebounds from him, 4 steals, including the big one, 23-8 with 4 steals and 4 boards, plus 10 in a 2-point win. TJ McConnell and Siakam, the classic duo for this Pacers team, were just awesome. But the other vets, of course, were wily and excellent as well. Ben Shepherd's not a vet. He's a young player, but he's pretty experienced for a young player. He had 7 points, crucial rebounds, 2 assists. He was quite good in this game. Aaron Nesmith, of course, 3 made threes, 5 boards, 2 assists. He had 16 points in this game. When the Pacers needed to win, they could not. I mean, like, the vibes are already what they are. I actually think they're handling what this has been better than you'd expect, but not, it's tough. You lose 13 in a row. It's tough on anybody. You need a win at some point. You cannot let it be 4 out of 5. You have a fourth quarter lead and you give it away. And when it mattered, and for a lot of the game, those who have been there, done that, said, we are not losing this game. And they found ways here and there to get it done with just enough plays. If you want to call Jay Huff a vet, yeah, he got his butt kicked on the glass. He made every shot he took in this game. He had 3 blocks. He protected the rim pretty well. A lot of other guys you could call vets. Tony Bradley we'll get to later. He was awesome. Maybe Tony Bradley's top 2-3 game of the season on his birthday nonetheless, right? Awesome game from the vets. Awesome win for the Pacers, who get their 7th of the season, ending the losing streak, making that no longer a topic for now.
The wild card round is here, and FanDuel is officially in playoff mode. Before every game during the NFL playoffs, FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts you can apply to bets you like most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boosts you want to apply. The boost lets you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback, player coaching. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. Visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
Guts, guile, you should be able to hear me now, and defense for the second straight night for the Utah Jazz. And that leads to a victory, ending a 5-game losing streak. 116-114 over the Dallas Mavericks. David Locke along with Ron Boone. It's postcast. I think everybody can hear me all right. Sorry about that little start.
You feel good about ending a losing streak?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You need to give these guys chances to win basketball games.
Yeah.
All right, what jumps out to you about this one today?
Well, hung in there, and obviously playing them back-to-back. But what really jumped out at me was the effort and probably the production you got from other people than Keontae. Obviously, Markkanen had a very good night, but you got Sensabaugh who steps up. Cody Williams probably had one of his better starts in the ball game tonight. So I think the effort overall was jumped out.
And Miami just scored, and the crowd is here watching on the Jumbotron with 18 seconds left. That's what all the cheering and everyone looking up at the screen, including me, is. I'm impressed by 3 things tonight. One is their continual ability to play well late in games. I really am wildly impressed by this. They were not good late in games last year, and this year they really have been pretty much Lowry and Keontae, which is what you're supposed to be late in games all the time. And they've made plays, and then they're also good defensively. Last year they were last in the league defensively. They've been good defensively. I'm wildly impressed by how well they've played late games.
Okay, so you got a star that's in Markkanen who's been a star for 2 or 3 years, and then you got a star player. Confidence is at an all-time level. Now you got 2 guys that can make things happen in the closing seconds of a possession, in the closing seconds of a ball game. So, yes, I totally agree with that, but it's because of the growth, I think, of a couple of players.
I'm more comfortable actually going to Keontae late than Lowry.
Okay.
Lowry, I've always felt, has had a hard time with isolation, but he's added some things to his game. He's playing, he generally comes off ball, and there's some that makes it hard. Keontae tonight on his big basket, he got frazzled, or he got hassled, didn't get frazzled, and was able to make that play. And the balance that he's playing with at that moment to be able to come off the left foot, fade back, get himself square, and make that shot that's where the physical conditioning and also the fatigue in the physical conditioning he did in the offseason with Chris Jones really showed up.
So you're talking about 2 different things and 2 different players on how they score. And whereas Keontae has turned into what we saw just then, his ability to put the ball on 4, change directions, and then end up scoring in an effort like that. Whereas Lowry is a straight line, hard dribble, bump, and then score, more so at the rim. So 2 different styles, but who cares? You get the job done.
They've really been very, very impressive. The other one, the second one is tonight, is this back-to-back good defensive efforts. Dallas actually shot the 3 well tonight, 15 of 36, and they're a bad 3-point shooting team. So that's surprising that the crowd is booing because they've just taken the game off of the screen with 30 seconds left. Dallas is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams, if not the worst 3-point shooting team in the league. They are the worst 3-point shooting team in the league at 33%, and they shot 42%. So for the Jazz to still have a good defensive effort, which was forcing Dallas into 20 turnovers. Now, this is a point guardless team, but the Jazz do not force a lot of turnovers, and for them to force 20 turnovers tonight, and I think Tim Lacombe had a number on the amount of steals the Jazz had tonight. What was it?
11.
11. I mean, that's a different thing that Jazz defense usually does.
Yeah. Start to the point where Keontae had 3. And out of those 3, I think 2 of them was he read the skip pass to the weak side for a 3-point shot, which is what a lot of teams are trained to do. You get into the paint, you look weak side because a lot of times the defense sags in, so that corner 3 should be open. Keontae was reading that, came up with a couple of steals, and I think Cooper Flagg must have had 1 of those or something like that. But that's, again, coaches talk about reads, and Keontae did that tonight.
6 turnovers by Dallas in that fourth quarter alone. Before we touch to Bryce Sensabaugh, which was the other one that I'm most impressed with, that kind of derailed this and took the 3 things it's just this was not a good script. You're coming off a 4-game road trip. I actually said to you on the plane last night, I would not play Keontae and Lowry tonight. Mm-hmm. I thought that we're playing too many games. You don't want these guys to get hurt. We're not playing for anything. They busted their ass in Oklahoma City. I would have said thank you for your efforts. We love you. We appreciate you. Get ready for Charlotte and go beat Charlotte. And they, you're trying to build some skills and some things, and they fought through it. This is what the money's for, and that was awfully impressive.
Being a player myself, I would not have wanted to sit down.
Yep.
And I'm sure they felt the same way. Now, management has a different look on the season, and they look out for you for the most part. They don't want that fatigue injury to set in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm bothered by the amount of injuries we have in the game right now, and so that's a little bit where I was saying, and there's no, keeping Lowry and Keontae healthy is as important as anything else we're doing. That's where I'm coming from on that. We'll talk about Bryce Sensabaugh, 2, if not 3 monster plays late in this ball game. Today's show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Rocket Money. Do you know all the subscriptions you have? Do you know where all your money is going? Well, Rocket Money is here to help you in that process and get that for you. Let's be real. Managing finances can feel overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forget about, bills you keep going up, and trying to figure out where all the money's actually going. It's easy to find that you're losing control. So why not track each transaction or hunt down your hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in. The personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Rocket Money lets you see, the coolest part is the automatic transaction categorization is game changer. You can finally see exactly where your money's going each month, set budgets, goals, get personalized insights, receive real-time alerts for large transaction, upcoming bills, and low balances. It even consolidates your checking, savings, and loans investments into a single dashboard. So go to Rocket Money. Help you reach your financial goals faster. RocketMoney.com/lockedon. That's RocketMoney.com/locked-on. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at BetterHelp. I like to refer to it as performance enhancing, or the weight room for the brain. The episode sponsored by BetterHelp. As we roll into the new year, there's a lot of pressure to chase the new you. Sometimes it isn't about reinventing yourself. It's about feeling a little less weighed down. Therapy can help you understand what's been holding you back by giving you an outside perspective on emotions, motivations, and relationships. And that's why BetterHelp can be such a helpful place to start. The therapists are fully licensed in the U.S., work under strict code of conduct. They help match you with a therapist based on your needs and preferences. And if the match isn't right, you can switch to another therapist from their tailored recommendations at any time. BetterHelp has served over 5 million people with more than 30,000 therapists, and live sessions average 4.9 out of 5 rating across. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, Bryce Sensabaugh, which of the 3 plays do you think is the best, Ron Boone? The charge, the 3, or the steal?
Which meant the most at that time? The charge that he took, as you were describing, cut down on points.
Yep.
Yes.
And they did not get the review. The 3 was a massive dagger 3, and he's really been struggling above the break. And to feel that confidence to make that to take that shot is pretty incredible for him to be able to make that play. And then obviously that steal late really was the cincher in the ball game by Bryce.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right, what are your stars tonight, Ron Boone?
I got the starting 5 and Clayton.
Yeah.
How about that?
Sounds good.
Clayton was a solid 10 tonight.
+10. Yeah.
A solid 10. Yeah.
All right.
That's the same thing.